back to that year against the Magic when he hit the shot heard around the world in Game 2. Remember that? And then they actually went up 2-1, and then they fell apart again, right on schedule. LeBron shrank, and they lost games 4, 5, and 6 to the Magic. And that was when it was supposed to be LeBron versus Kobe in the finals. And then remember last go-round in the first time around in Cleveland, what happened? The owner ended up accusing LeBron James of quitting in that it was the conference semifinal against Boston, games 4, 5, and 6, the dreaded games. LeBron just disappeared in those games leading up to the meltdown in the first go-around with the Heat. Then the Ray Allen shot saved him. Then the Spurs blew LeBron off the floor by a record finals margin in 2014. And then, remember, he hit the wall in 2015. He had the Golden State Warriors down before they were the Warriors. It's 2-1 with Game 4 in LeBron's house. In LeBron's house, you've got them 2-1. You could go up 3-1, and Iggy happened. Iggy inserted into the starting lineup. He outplayed LeBron in Game 4 in LeBron's house, and the rest is finals history because LeBron was history. And I will never forget and never let LeBron get away with 2018. Don't remember, 2018, Game 1 at Oracle. LeBron had one of the greatest games of his life, had a shot, a mid-range jump shot on Steph Curry that could have won the game at the end of the game, and he turns it down to pass the basketball. What? Really? You did that? And I get it. JR had the mental glitch and blunder, but then LeBron just quit on his team. He sat 5 seats over from his team before overtime and wouldn't shoot. He went into a big pout mode in overtime of that game and wouldn't shoot for the first 2.5 minutes, and they lost that game by 7. I just gave you a long list of epic meltdowns. You can't show me one from Michael Jordan. Not an epic meltdown like all those, the quit game. There are 2 quit games, actually. Come on, Shannon.
Here's the thing, though. If you look at LeBron, LeBron is 12 times first-team All-NBA. Michael Jordan has made it 11 times. LeBron has done it 11 consecutive times. So he's about to be 13 times because he has 12 on his resume. He will be first-team All-NBA this year, which will be 13, which has blown away everybody. He's been All-NBA 15 of the 16 seasons he's been in the NBA. Remind you, Skip, the year that he led the league in scoring, he was not first-team All-NBA. Think about this. A guy that's passed first is the 3rd all-time leading scorer. A guy that scored first is the 5th all-time leading scorer. Let that sink in for just a second. Now, you see, Skip, what you always try to do, you always try to say, well, if you're undefeated in the finals, that's the GOAT. Well, how does Tom Brady get to be the GOAT? He's lost 3 times in the finals. And 2 of those times, and even 2 of the times that he won, he wasn't the MVP. Huh? Julian Edelman. Is Julian Edelman going to the Hall of Fame? No. Is Branch. Is he going to the Hall of Deion Branch? Is he going to the Hall of Fame? No. So 2 other guys won the Super Bowl MVP on his watch. Eli Manning, you have little to no respect for the Eli Manning. Now you understand the family, what the lineage is, and that's football royalty. He took down Tom Brady. Nick Foles lost his job to Gardner Minshew, the guy that has a mullet and a stash. Really, Skip? And you want to lecture me about LeBron. Skip, see, in other words, what you're telling me, it would have been better for LeBron to fail before the finals because we know Jordan had a lot of epic fails before the finals. You remember that double nickel, that 63-point game he had against the Celtics, Skip? That should have never happened. You know why? Because he missed the final shot in regulation, and he missed it again in overtime. But you don't mention that. Everybody talks about, oh, look at Michael, what he did. You talk about that, but why couldn't he beat the big 3 Celtics? You tell me GOAT players are supposed to topple great teams. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. He should be able to beat the big 3 Celtics. He was supposed to be able to take down. Why couldn't he get past the Pistons? Why? Why must they got old? Why must they started breaking that team up before he could get past? I don't want to hear anything about no Jordan rules. Jordan shouldn't have rules. God doesn't have rules. He took time off on the 7th day because he wanted to rest. He worked all continuously for 6 days. So that's what you told me Jordan was. So I don't understand that, Skip. So in other words, if LeBron loses in the first round, we know Michael knows a lot about that. He's lost a lot in the first round and not make it to the finals. He'd have been judged more favorably than losing in the finals. Tell me the guy, Skip, before I let you turn it back over to you. Tell me the guy that Jordan beat in the finals that's better than Kevin Durant, that's better than Tim Duncan, that's better than Steph Curry. I just know to know one guy that's better than those three guys that he beat.
Okay, I want to point out to our faithful viewers that Shannon Sharpe just had to reach for the name Gardner Minshew to try to win a debate of Jordan versus LeBron. It came to that. That's how far he had to reach and crawl for some other comparison. Yes, so.
No,
okay,
I didn't
my
do
turn.
that, Skip,
Thank you very much. Let's go back to Tom Brady. All he did was go to 9, or he's not finished yet. He has gone to 9 Super Bowls and won 6 of them and should have won the 2 more of those, but 9 and 6. And the point is that the 6 came all with game-winning fourth-quarter drives. We've never seen anything like what Tom Brady has done in any other sport, and it's actually even beyond Michael Jordan. And those game-winning drives came with some punctuation mark field goals at the end of those games, thanks to the greatest field goal kicker ever, Adam Vinatieri. I give you that. But he also had, Tom Brady had to complete 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 passes in a row to set up Vinatieri with the game-winning field goal. You don't just snap your fingers and say, oh, it's our ball, let's kick a field goal. No, he's got to make a bunch of clutch passes to even set up a field goal. I don't like the field goal rule. You know how I feel about it, but it is part of football. And Brady did capitalize on it a couple of times. And he also, in the first game against Eli, threw what would have been another game-winning fourth-quarter drive touchdown pass to Randy Moss that should have won the game with 2 minutes left. And Bill Belichick's defense choked again against Eli Manning. I'm sorry, they just did. I'll give Eli the second game. That's the one game where Brady had one little off-target misfire, and Wes Welker should have still caught that ball. And then all Brady did against Nick Foles, who had the greatest quarterback run I think I've ever seen for a 3-game set, at least a 2-game conference championship and Super Bowl, and you agreed with me. You'd never seen anything quite like that. He was on fire. Yeah. And Nick Foles puts up 41 points against Belichick's 41 points? Are you kidding me? Against the GOAT coach? And Tom Brady throws for an all-time playoff record, 505, and puts up a record for a Super Bowl loser, 33 points, and they lost the game because Belichick gave up 41. Is that Brady's fault? Stop it. Now, let's go back to Michael Jordan.
It was Brady's fault. He didn't get the ball. Okay. Go ahead. I'm going to let you finish. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. All right. So Michael Jordan lost first to Boston Celtics teams. Those are Larry Bird teams. We're going to talk about Larry Bird here in a few minutes on the show. Larry Bird was obviously all-time great, and with Parrish and McHale and DJ and Ainge, that was one of the great teams in NBA history, one of the mentally toughest teams in NBA history. And it took Michael a while to grow up enough to get past the Celtics. Then he kept running into the bad boy Pistons for 3 straight years. And he won, they lost in 4 games, then 5 games, then 6 games. So he kept getting a little better, a little better, and a little better. And he was up against what were called the Jordan Rules because Sam Smith had to write a book about it called The Jordan Rules, because that's the only way the Pistons stopped Michael Jordan. Their whole game plan was, we've got to beat him up and basically knock him out of this game for us to control him or at least contain him. And yet he finally broke through. Remember, those Piston teams went to 3 straight finals off beating Michael Jordan and won 2 out of the 3. Okay, well, that's pretty great. That's pretty hard to get past. But once he broke through, he went 6-0. And I'll give you the last couple of years in Washington were ugly. But remember, he took 3 years off. He quit on principle because his coach got fired, removed in place of Tim Floyd. And Phil Jackson went on to great things, as we well know. But Michael just said, I'm out. He took 3 years off and came back. He was out of shape. I'm canceling out those years. All I care about were the years I covered up through 1998 in Chicago. Sorry.
But Skip, but here's the thing. You keep saying Tom Brady had to complete those passes. What was the difference between Jim Kelly in the 90 Super Bowl completing passes and Scott Norwood missing that field goal and Tom Brady completing passes and Adam Vinatieri making it? Adam Vinatieri, there was nothing else he could do. Thank you. You make my point. So now it's up to Vinatieri.
No, I don't.
Vinatieri twice.
Okay.
Huh? Adam Vinatieri twice
I give you that point.
Saved his legacy. No. Okay. And Malcolm Butler. So 3 of those, you keep saying he should win 2 more, but he could have lost 3 more, Skip. He could legitimately he could have 5 losses out of those 9. He could be 5-4 instead of 6-3. 4-5 instead of 6-3 easily. You make it seem like he just blew these teams away and there was no doubt in anybody's mind. Stop that. But I just want to know why. You keep saying the Boston Celtics was an all-time great team. Were the 17?
They were. You don't think they were?
So, yeah, I do. But are you saying the Warriors with KD, Steph, Clay, and Draymond is not an all-time great team?
Okay, but remember, they weren't all-time great the first time they played LeBron. And I give you, LeBron had already lost Kevin Love and he lost Kyrie in overtime. But then he had the greatest stretch of 3 games I've ever seen him play. He put the Cavaliers on his back. And even I'm sitting back in awe of what LeBron did in games 1, 2, and 3. He had a little help in game 2 from Delhi. The Delhi was open in game 2. But then as we got to game 4 in LeBron's house, they're up 2-1. You got to do that. If you're Michael Jeffrey Jordan, you got to take that game over and make it 3-1 because the Warriors didn't think they were that great. They didn't have KD yet. I'm sorry. That was another epic failure by LeBron James.
Let me ask you a question, Skip. Let's name the finals that Michael Jordan would have won if he'd have lost Scottie Pippen. Remember, he couldn't get out of the first round without Scottie, let alone win a series. So I just want to know, name the series that he would have won without his second and third best players playing with him. Name the finals he would have won.
Who knows? I don't know. He probably would have won all of them knowing him because, remember, in game 6 at Utah, go ahead.
Hold up. How are you going to say he's going to win a finals when he can't even get out the first round without Scottie? But he's going to win the finals without Scottie. Really?
Okay. After he broke through and started winning finals and he psychologically dominated the whole league, he owned the NBA. I wouldn't put it past him to win without Scottie. And to your point, game 6, NBA Finals, 1998 at Utah. I covered the whole series.
Yeah.
Scottie Pippen had the flu. Scottie Pippen was almost doubtful to go in that game. He tried to go. He was about half of himself in that game. And Jordan willed them into the game, holding on. Jordan was the one who went in and stole the ball from Karl Malone over in the corner, snaked it from him, dribbled the ball up the floor.
Yeah, because Dennis Rodman was occupying Karl Malone's attention and Jordan snuck back after he followed Stockton through. He peeled back and took the ball. So don't make it seem like he just took the ball out of Mailman's hand.
Jordan led the league in steals 3 times. LeBron never led the league in steals. This is another attribute that just made him beyond great. It made him the GOAT. So he dribbles the ball up the floor, and flu-ridden Scottie Pippen is over on the wing. And I always tell you, this is the only piece of memorabilia I own. It's a picture of this from the far end zone. And Scottie's over on the wing like this, like, I'm open, give me the ball. And Michael's like, yeah, right. This is my game, my time, my turn, my shot. And Michael, little push-off on Byron Russell, just a little push-off. That's the way the game was played in those days. And he goes up with that mid-range jumper that I was oohing and awing about earlier in this show. He goes up and just hangs and holds the pose right there and rips it as clean as you can rip it like this. And I've got the picture from the far end zone of the horrified looks on all the Jazz fans' faces where they're all like, ah, he did it to us again.
Skip.
And Jordan in the picture, still shot, is holding the pose. The ball is ripping through the twine, clean as a whistle, and it's game over. Bulls win the championship.
Skip.
There was little to no Scottie Pippen in that game.
No. But here's my thing, is that when you look at it, and Jordan is an all